Hello guys, 7th-8th here once again, and this is going to be a disclaimer on this video, and particularly is that this video they did, this MmGS game showcase and commentary, the video itself was recorded like a long time ago, I think it was June 2014. Yes, that long time ago. I made this video, but I just put it on the back burner. Didn't really post it. I should have, so I do apologize for that. So the disclaimer here is that this video, me reviewing about the game controller, is that this video was the full video was originally recorded June of 2014, but I just right now November 2014 I just barely posted up, and you say, well, why? Well, because they did mention, like, such as one, I said that I didn't have a PS4, and yes, I didn't get my PS4 until August of 2014. So that's a bit of the disclaimer. So people won't be confused. Like, wait, how come you have a PS4? I see you doing Twitch on PS4, but you say you don't have a PS4. What's going on? So I'm letting you know now that this particular video was recorded 2014 of July 2014, but I finally just finished editing it, finalizing it on November 2014. So that's it. So with that, here's the MmGS game showcase and commentary. Hello guys, Axel once again, and this is going to be another MmGS Games showcase and commentary. But this time, I'm going to be doing a commentary on the current gen controllers, or should I say, last gen, namely Xbox 360, PS3, Wii, and I hate to say it, Wii U, but that's a different story of why. But namely, I want to talk about the old school traditional controllers. No, I'm not going to be talking about Wii's motion control or the Wii U's gamepad, but I want to give my thoughts on what is the best controller for best situation for a game. And the reason I'm doing this, it was basically an idea I got from, believe it or not, Adam Sessler when I was watching one of his, well, when he was still at Rev 3, one of the questions was, how can Wii U go back in its game, or how can the Wii U rebound back? And one of his answers was they gotta fix the controller, because even so that Adam Sessler is a Nintendo fan, he does have a minor gripe with the Wii U gamepad, and to some extent the Wii U Pro Controller, and I'm gonna explain that later why. And with that, so I want to talk about what is the best controller for the video game. Well, it depends on what situation, what game are you playing. Say, if you're playing a 3D game and that it requires an analog stick, then you need a controller with an analog stick, because that's good when playing 3D games or something that's a 3D environment. For something like 2D environments such as New Super Mario Brothers, Puppeteer, and something that's only left and right, you might need a controller that has a D-pad. And for racing game, say Ridge Racer, Mario Kart, I guess it depends on the situation. I mean, me personally, I would rather use a D-pad, just like Super Mario Kart. And if you saw one of my MmGS game showcase commentary with Mario Kart 8, that I was using the classic Pro Controller, the one that you attach it for the Wii. So again, it depends on the situation, and I want to give my thought for each one of the controller that I'm going to showcase for this episode, what's good for each one. So with that in mind, let's start with the Wii U. Alright, the Wii U gamepad. Well, first of all, I want to backtrack of the Wii U gamepad. It's a bad controller. It's not really a bad controller. Of course, you get the big screen, and for a bulky controller, to some extent, it's not really heavy. You can actually hold it with one hand, and of course, it has a touch feature. But one of the gripes that Adam basically said was the buttons, and the gripe that he really had was, and I'm going to show you now, is the Nintendo Wii U Pro Controller. And you're wondering, for people who are not into video game or not into Nintendo, what is the point of this controller? Why do I need this if I already have the Nintendo gamepad? Well, for people, it's basically for people who are into already video games since, say, the 360 days or the PS2. You want to feel the old traditional. This is the controller. Because again, using the gamepad, it's kind of bulky, it's wider, and to some extent it is heavy. And they need something that's more, like, feeling more of a natural controller, such as this one, the Pro Controller. And if you notice, one of the key features of a controller now is handles, excuse me, can't even say it right, handles, right here. So when you're playing it, you can put your part here, your palm here, you can put it here, here, and then when you're playing, move left trigger and the buttons. Alright, so what is the problem with this controller and why Adam, to some extent, doesn't like it? Well, it's the buttons. Most traditional controllers, such as the GameCube, the PlayStation, whether it's PlayStation 1, 2, 3, or 4, and especially the 360, the buttons has always been where the right stick is. I don't know why they switch it here. And the problem is when you're used to playing it with the buttons here, that is a problem. Now, like, the buttons is here, you have to move your finger here, and to some extent, from what I heard, a lot of people don't like it. It's a bit a little bit not uncomfortable. There you go. It's a little bit uncomfortable. I'm sorry, I just brain fart there. My apologies. So, again, this is good for 3D games, especially 3D games like New Super Mario 3D World, Wonderful 101, Pikmin, let's see what else, and The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, the HD, or anything that requires 3D movement. The left stick is fine, right here. That is fine. But the problem, again, with this one is the buttons is right here rather than here. And is it that bad? Well, to some extent, if you're trying to use the Y and B button, you kind of like, you have to stretch your thumb here. So that's why Adam had a little bit of gripe. So, again, is it a bad controller? No, it's not. It's actually light. And it's actually thin, which is surprisingly. And it's good if you want those old school feeling and not worry about the heaviness of the gamepad. I mean, I used this in playing Super Mario 3D World, and it was much, I have to say, it was much better than the gamepad. Because again, one of the key features is it's easier to hold the controller than the gamepad. Because the gamepad does not have the, let's just say, the palm rest here. And it kind of strains your hand. I mean, I played it. It was pretty good. The movement's okay. The only downside, like I said, I had to use the X and the A because it was closer here than the Y and B. Because when I use the Y and B, it's kind of like, man, I'm stretching the buttons. So X and Y, that's it. And then the index, the top button, I think it's not that bad. So again, if you want like the old school style playing Nintendo game, then get yourself a the Pro Controller, and the Wii U Pro Controller, or stick with the Wii U gamepad. Again, it's not bad, but it has some flaws in it. So you think, well, what's a Nintendo controller that's much better than this one? Well, I'll show you. Which is this one. Let me just unwrap it. It's basically the one that's before the Pro Controller. This one's called the Nintendo Wii Classic, the Classic Controller Pro. Why is it Pro? Once again, it came with the palm rest, so you can hold it easily, more comfortable. The Classic Controller before that was just, imagine this, just a oblong shape without it. I played it kind of hard. You're crunching your hand. It hurts to some extent, and that's why they created this. You think, oh, that's kind of like a waste of material. Well, it may be, but at the same time, it helps you with it's easier to control. And this is what Adam was saying. One of the complaints is that the butt is here. Well, here's the question. All right, well, there's a problem here. I see the left stick now is reverse where the D-pad is. What's going on? Why people aren't controlling with this one? Well, this controller was based on the PlayStation, or should I say PlayStation 2, when they started doing analog stick. And to some extent, I mean, it is kind of different than doing it in a face button. And the thing is that people got used to it because it's not really, to some extent, you are not really stretching your thumb because look how, if you notice, look how high it is. So some people, I mean, I use it for the PlayStation. When I'm using my PlayStation 3 controller, I use this one. And right here, but I do have like an alternative one for the PS3, but perhaps that's going to be another video. So again, I mean, I think this is an ideal controller for Nintendo, the Classic Pro. I used this for Super Mario Kart 8, or Mario Kart 8, excuse me. And it wasn't that bad. The Z buttons, I use that for the power sliding and the power up button. And then, right again, the buttons right here. You don't need, again, it's not stretching your thumb like here. But the difference also with this one, with the Pro Controller, I think, is that it's a little bit wider when the buttons lay out than the Pro Controller. Too bad I can't use it on the Wii U Virtual Console and 64 games. But they will come out with a GameCube adapter. And once I get that, I'll probably do another commentary with that one, or part 2 of this. So again, ideal, basically a universal ideal controller for 3D games. You get a thumb here for like even playing Virtual Console, Wii, and 64, or anything from Nintendo or Super Nintendo. The D-pad, buttons, right there. I think it's an ideal one here. So again, it's still, I mean, in my opinion, it's better than the Pro Controller. And you find it, and you'll probably have a hard time finding this because they don't sell this anymore. From what I heard, they discontinued this, so it is unfortunate. Maybe again, I don't know, GameCube controller. But then, of course, the assumption is if you're using the Wii U in Wii mode, then you should probably have this already, or the original version of Classic Controller. So, okay, so that's the Classic Controller, the Classic Pro Controller. I would really recommend it if playing Virtual Console on the Wii mode, or actually in Wii U. Good for 2D games, 3D games to some extent. So, especially Mario Kart 8, I recommend this. Excuse me. So, alright, so I talked about that Pro Controller. Oh, there's a problem with it. There's a little bit problem with the buttons. What's the flaw there? Because of the face button, it was in the wrong place. So, what is the right place for the button? Then, this is what people want to use. The universal, I call this the universal controller for gaming. Not only for the 360, you can use this in PC game. Also, Steam game, because Steam games use the 360 controller. Try something else, it's not gonna work. So this is one of the best controller, universal controller, if you're using it for 3D games. Let me explain. One of the flaws with this one is, if you notice, D-pad. Try playing Final Game with that D-pad. Not gonna work. It's too hard. It doesn't input the commands, unfortunately. But if you're playing this for a 3D game, definitely it works. You got your left thumb, right? You got your palm rest, left stick, right here, buttons right here. So playing Gears of War, let's say even Call of Duty, or anything that needs requiring one button and to shoot, or anything that you need like Dynasty Warrior, even like a Dynasty Warrior game, the Musou series, the Warrior series, right here. It's a controller to use because the buttons again, it's in the right place. You're not stretching. You hardly use the right stick because the whole point of the right stick here is mostly probably going to be camera, especially in first-person shooters, third-person shooters, you name it, RPGs. So again, I say this is best for 3D, but when it comes to 2D game, no good. Especially with the D-pad, doesn't really work right. I tried it with Street Fighter, just doesn't work. That if you're gonna need to play fighting games on a Xbox, well, you get two choices: you buy a fight stick or a fight pad. And I'm probably gonna show you the fight pad on another MmGS game showcase and commentary. So like I said, I'm just going to show only the main 4 one. And speaking of the main 4, the last one, I call this the best universal controller, the PlayStation 3 Dual Shock, or 6-axis. And the backstory with that one is 6-axis didn't have the rumble. I really don't care about the rumble. They had some BS reason, but there was some legal issue also, that's why they couldn't use it. When they finally cleared it up, they finally created a new version, Dual Shock 3, and it's a bit heavier. And the Dual Shock 3 is basically based on the Dual Shock 2 controller with all the design. And the difference also with this one, I added one new feature besides Bluetooth, is the axis control. It has some sort of gyro system in it. There are some games that you have to shake, move it. They were trying to copy the Wii motion control, but that just kind of didn't really work. And maybe I'll probably talk about also motion controllers on another video. But not this one. This one is basically about traditional control. So, PlayStation Dual Shock 3, excuse me, the design was based on the PlayStation minus the analog stick. That came in later, but it wasn't really utilized until games in the PlayStation 2. For this one, you'd say, well, the left stick again is not in the wrong place. Shouldn't it be where the D-pad is? Yeah, and again, but for this controller, I call it the ultimate universal controller because, again, too bad you can only use it for the PS3, but there is a Logitech version that I saw people use. They use that one. And for what I heard also, that the Logitech one, since it has, like, I guess it seemed kind of recognized it as a Microsoft controller, so it also works from what I heard. I don't have one. I do have something else, but I'm going to show you that in another video again. It's how I use some of my MmGS game showcase, wink wink. So, why is it so universal? Well, one, for 3D game, it's not so bad. Again, same here. You see that handle. You can, to some extent, you can't really do a palm rest, but I guess you don't really need it. But it's comfortable because there's a handle, like something you handle like a sword handle. You can handle it easy with one hand, two hands, you name it. So again, playing 2D games like fighting games, side-scrolling games, shoot or shumps, over the top or side-scrolling games, you can use the D-pad, buttons here to shoot, boom boom. 3D game, it's not so bad using this. A little bit tricky because a lot of time your hand tends to slip. But with the PS4, they did rectify that with the PS4 controller, which what they did with the Classic Controller, the Pro Controller, it had that weird, like some sort of border, so you don't basically slip your finger off. I had to buy a rubber, if you notice, and one of my showcase, a really old showcase, MmGS game showcase, I did a showcase on trying to put on the rubber. If you notice the rubber here, it does help, but again, it still slip off. And also another part, but I'll talk about that later. So again, good for 2D games. 3D games, yeah, it's good. Move here, and then same here. Again, not too wide. You're not stretching your thumb, which is again a good thing. So right here, But here's one of the gripe you'll notice. Another part that I had to buy an accessory, if you notice, this thing. And here's the problem. Well, there you go. One of the biggest problem with the Dual Shock 3, that what's in the Dual Shock 2, I don't know why they did this, was the L2 R2 button. It's so low because they say that they want to make it analog. I mean, it does work, like playing Grand Theft Auto, like trying to use the speed of the car. Because basically this and this button, the L2 and R2, they call analog buttons because it depends how much pressure you put in. You do it light, the car's gonna go slow, or if you want it super fast, boom, right there. But it just feels weird. And they did rectify that in the PS4 because the guy, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know about PS4 yet. I think they got rid of that problem because people were complaining. So I had to buy one of this to basically make it higher, like in the feeling. So I just put it on right there. So when I put it down right here, so now it's a little bit high because now it's more comfortable when you're using it. Again, racing game or shooters, Call of Duty, Battlefield Earth, Battlefield 4. I don't know what I'm thinking about John Travolta. That's weird. So, right there, that's why I said I call this the universal controller because, again, good face button, right places, left stick, right stick. You're not really stretching your thumb. My only gripe, like I said, is the R2L2, but with this, it does rectify it. The buttons here, not so good. I don't like the way they did it. I prefer the D-pad like in the Wii U because it's like exposed just like the NES controller. I don't know if they're trying to make a different design or it's supposed to be accurate, but sometimes it's not because, sadly to say, it doesn't really work on fighting games that much. I mean, sometimes, unless it depends how you play fighting game, the input move doesn't come out, but that's a different story. But overall, the Sony DualShock 3 is, I consider it the universal controller because you can play 2D games, 3D games, any classic game that requires also a twin stick because again, there's symmetrical. So again, too bad it doesn't work in the PC. But I don't know if the DualShock 4 is. I know it works in the PS3, the DualShock 4, but that doesn't really make sense if you have the DualShock 3. But, you know, whatever. So, again, Universal Controller, DualShock 3. So, well, those are the controllers for last gen, for basically traditional standard control gameplay, not motion control, not Kinect, or a keyboard, or using your mind or whatever, the old traditional way. So those are my thoughts. So with that, that's it for now. I'll see you guys later. Bye.